Hello, in this video I'd like to go over my comic books from The Crow and talk about the two graphic novels that I have, which are the full volumes from James Barr's creation from The Crow, which is this is the first one, which I bought in 1995, and the artwork is absolutely amazing inside and also on the cover of the comic book. There are slight differences to Brandon Lee's character, which this character of Eric Draven, he has more sort of spiky, more sort of punk look haircut, whereas Brandon Lee's Crow is more sort of long hair, rock and roll, rock star look, which is the character that he was playing in the film. So there are slight differences with the comic and the film. And then this one here is the 2011 edition, which is the special edition, which is the slightly thicker comic book of the same story. But James Barr has put in more sections to the chapters and more artwork that was obviously not used in the original print, so it's like an added bonus to this edition. And also parts of the story are slightly different. For example, the death scene where they're brutally murdered, which I put down is probably the most brutal part of the story, and Eric and Shelley's characters, they're killed off on the roadside, which I'll go through that in more detail, whereas of course in the film it's in their apartment. So just starting off at the beginning of this, explaining James Barr's creation of The Crow and how it came about, and how it all started. How did he come up with the idea? Well, I shall read this. It says here, there's been endless gossip about what actually happened to the girl who was Shelley, and I'd like to set the record straight once and for all. It all comes down to this. I was a careless teenager who hadn't paid his car insurance. The local cops knew my car on sight, so I phoned the girl who was Shelley and said, "Sweetie, why don't you pick me up? I really can't afford another ticket right now." I was one of those defining moments when your life suddenly turns sideways for no goddamn reason. A series of choices that trip and fall like dominoes, ending in irreversible consequences. On her way to her car to pick me up, she was run down by a drunk driver, killed on the spot. But in my mind, in some sort of distorted monkey logic, I was responsible. If I'd only paid my car insurance, if I'd only waited 10 more minutes to call, if I'd only said, "I'll just see you tomorrow, pumpkin, if, there was nothing in my future but nothingness. I'd hoped by putting all my murderous fury into ink on paper that somehow, magically, all the pain, hurt and self-destructive behaviour that followed would dissolve. I picked the name Shelley after Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, and Eric from The Phantom of the Opera." So there's a little insight there on how he came up with the creation of The Crow, which is actually from a real-life experience that he had when he was a teenager with his girlfriend. It was actually killed, basically, and the story in this comic book and also in the film probably shows his probably pain and frustration and total loss, which is really clever how he sort of channeled his ways of thinking of what happened to him in real life, which was a real life tragedy, into a graphic novel, but also something incredibly artistic at the same time. So here we go. This is just a quick sort of overview and insight into the comic book of the graphic novel The Crow. So just on the first page, which I think is really touching, which you've got here, you've got just there a picture of Eric Draven's character in loss and despair, and it's just got at the top here, in memory of Brandon Lee, you'll be sadly missed, love, James. So obviously, of course, James O'Barr knew Brandon Lee because they were on the set of The Crow together, but obviously it adds to the extra touch of loss through the real life of losing actor Brandon Lee. And then I love the poetic quotes in the comic, which are really, which I find really strong, and sometimes almost disturbing or quite brutal. For example, it says here, pain. A year ago, a cold October night, a broken down car on a dirt road, a man, a girl, madness, pain, and the shadows. My God, the shadows. And then another one, it says here, fear. He screams and screams and pounds his head against the wall until wailing phantom fire trucks pace across his vision. Pain, pain is all he wants. And hate, yes, hate, we shall never forget and never forgive. And never ever fear. Fear is for the enemy, fear and bullets. So it's obviously putting quotes across towards the villains in the well, from the story of The Crow, and then just turn the page. You have this image here, which is actually from the same poetic quote there, but you've got Eric Draven's character in absolute loss and despair there from being murdered along with his fiancée Shelley in the story. So it's really touching, and you can also relate to the characters and almost understand the loss and pain that was happening. And then on this page here, you've got Funboy's character, which is very similar in the film, but this is also in the comic book version, which is to do with the scene where he comes into his apartment with his girlfriend, which is the mother of Sarah, which is the adopted girl that Eric and Shelley's character look after, and he saves the mother by not turning to drugs. And you've got the famous quote there, which is from the film, as Brandon Lee puts it, mother is a name for God on the lips and hearts of all children, do you understand? And he's like a dark angel that came to her and saved her, basically. Really nice shot there. Another sort of lonely, lost, in despair shot of the Eric Draven character. And then you've got more shots there of the revenge character of Eric Draven. Really great shots. And then this is just one page, for example, which is a death scene of Eric and Shelley, which he shot on the roadside by the drugged up, fueled gang, basically. So it's very different to the film where he's murdered in his apartment and thrown out the window. So there are very different comparisons there. Great shots there, very dark, gothic-y, sort of almost like lost images there. From his past, going back to his old place where he lived, and bringing back all the memories. And then this image here where he's dancing with Shelley here, but she's got a skull kind of feature-looking face there, and it just says at the top here, in the doorway of glory he finds death, who puts his hand in hers and whispers to him, now come home now, soon he says. And then this shot here is, or this image, I can come across it, this one here, is actually at the end of the film where Brandon Lee's character walks in on Top Dollar's gang and confronts all the gang and literally slaughters the whole lot. Well, this is the comic book version, which again is very similar, and it's a very brutal chapter, very graphic in detail. And I love what he says here, Oh, you sewer rats are so faithful, you cause me to blush to my bones, you never stop dying for me. I just think it's really clever the way he's quoted that, and really poetic. And then at the back here you've got Passover, which is a really nice end chapter there, really dark, gothic-y, wintry images there of tombstones and angels. Just really clever artwork that James O'Barr came up with. So you can see how he brought his own real life emotions through from the loss of his own partner and put it down in the novel. And then this one here: one owns respects to the living, to the dead, one owns only truth. Great shots there. And then just in the back here you have the coloured images from, obviously would have been used for cover shots. Absolutely fantastic. You got those, for example. And then so that's it. So that's the comic book novels. And then just to finish this video off, you have this here, which is actually a new book. This is Bruce Lee Authorised Visual History. Really great book on Bruce Lee, but it's more of a picture book, history book on his life. You have great shots of Bruce Lee growing up, and then of course with his family and his wife and children. So you have shots from his films, really great shots here. And then also you've got scenes from the last great film he did, Enter the Dragon. But what's more important for this book for me, and a great thing to have as a collector, you got Bruce Lee, and then it's actually been signed. This actually came directly from America, so it's been signed there by Shannon Lee, and she's put on there "Walk On, Shannon Lee," and really fantastic. "Walk On" was also one of Bruce Lee's famous sayings as an inspiration quote that is to walk on. Basically, don't stop negative things or anything from stopping your dreams, to keep going forward where you want to be or what you want to do in your life. And then here you got the foreword by Shannon Lee. Really great picture there of Shannon, Bruce's daughter. Then a really lovely shot there of Bruce Lee on the set of Enter the Dragon there. No, sorry, on the set of that's Game of Death, with Brandon and Shannon sat on his lap. So really fantastic. Another signed piece added to the Bruce Brandon Lee collection. So yes, that's it for this video. So it's good to keep talking about them and different subjects on them, and it's a way of keeping their memory alive and not forgetting who they were and the great works that they've done. So thanks for watching this one, and hope to do another one soon. Okay, bye.